Hello, I'm IBX and this is the start of Seed Sunday, which is a series which I'm going to be turning into a weekly one now, because I used to do it just, irregularly, which is going to be showing you a seed for Minecraft Extra 60 every Sunday, obviously. That's why it's called Seed Sunday.
That really was the introduction to the first ever Seed Sunday video I did on this channel back in April of 2013. It was a long time ago, and it's a series I simply started because I saw so many seed videos and websites on the internet talking about seeds that were clearly just the first thing they typed into the Xbox 360 edition of Minecraft. Like, oh yeah, I typed this in and it was kind of okay, but the truth is, every single seed is kind of okay. I wanted to find exceptional seeds, which is why for Seed Sunday, I always loaded up at least 3, 4, 5, and then took the best of those seeds. Sometimes, hundreds of seeds for every single Seed Sunday, which is something that I think paid off in the case of this first ever Seed Sunday, because although the seed, which is IBX2cat, you can barely see it because I decided white text on a white and beige background was a good idea, but this first ever seed that I ever did was really interesting for me to go back and look through recently, because as you can see, it's got a mushroom biome pretty close to spawn. It's got something which is still pretty rare to this day in the console editions. It's a ravine with an abandoned mineshaft going through it. There were so many things about this seed that were really great and that honestly would be kind of worth checking out even in 2019, right? That made me question, why don't we check out this seed in 2019? Why don't we take the first ever Seed Sunday, IBX2cat, which by the way, they're in my second channel, and try it in a bunch of editions of Minecraft and see which one it is best in. So yeah, we're going to play the 3 major editions of Minecraft using this IBX2cat seed, and we're going to see which version has the greatest version of that, and we're going to see which version of this seed is the best. Is it going to be the Java, is it going to be the console, or is it going to be the Bedrock? And in case you're curious, we're covering this in reverse order, just because why not? So yeah, seed IBX2cat, this is going to be for every edition of the game. Do any of the versions have a good version of this seed, or have so many updates come out that kind of like the nostalgia seeds, that they're all just going to end up being average seeds? The IBX2cat seed that you saw in that video was an Xbox 360 edition seed. However, the 360 seeds at the time were heavily based on the Java edition seeds of the same time, and it's just worth mentioning that the Java seeds have changed significantly since then. So have console, so has Bedrock. Every one of these seeds is hugely reworked, and that's why it's going to be interesting to check this out. Anyway, before we can do anything else on Seed Sunday, we've got to build a gold beacon to represent the spawn, and we've got to get some seeds in our hands. So when I say hello, my BX and welcome back to Seed Sunday, the weekly series where I show you seeds, it's it's funny because I'm holding seeds. It's a joke that people watching Seed Sunday for the first time that they get to enjoy. It's a great little thing. But yeah, let's check out what the IBX2cat seed has to offer for the Java edition. Because my interest is immediately captivated by the fact that I spawn on a little bit of an island that's next to a bigger island that is then kind of isolated by itself. You can see how there's just this huge foresty, it's like it's a proper island rather than just an ocean island. If you're curious as to why that island's so much worse than this one, it's because ocean islands don't naturally generate with animals and trees and so on and so forth. This is an actual plains biome, which means we're gonna get actual, sheep, and we're gonna get actual trees here, which is wonderful. So yeah, this is survival island, except not really survival island, more just you're on an island with trees. You can make anything you want, but then you don't have to worry about other bits of landmass and other stuff like that. There's a lot of, like upsides to this in terms of you're alone and isolated. There's also a lot of downsides in that if to go anywhere, you have to get on a boat, but maybe prefer boats because they're faster than walking and they don't require hunger. You can make that decision for yourself. But the biggest upside is the fact that when you're surrounded by ocean, you're going to get a lot of small ocean loots that can be big wins or small wins, but you can see there's treasure ships found around the place, there's ocean ruins, there's these sorts of things that you can find pretty close to spawn. If they're your favorite structures in Minecraft, then good news, you're going to find these in ready to play. Here you can even see there is a treasure ship next to one of these ocean ruins, next to an ocean ruin. In fact, even it's almost close to the fact that this ship is almost inside the ravine. It kind of bridges across it, which is interesting to see, right? Because the oldest version of the IBX2cat seed was a, like a mine shaft going through a ravine. This is like an entirely brand new, 1.14ified version where it is still oak wood crossing a ravine, but this time it's an abandoned treasure ship just going over the top of a ravine. And the only thing that might be more fascinating is this. So I'm going to have to give you coordinates for this one because it's going to get confusing otherwise. So on Java, it's a lot harder to say coordinates. But if you look in the top left, you can see how like around 50, 40, if you, go through the ravine and then go through a little bit of a cave. It's a really nice cave, but it's underwater. You're probably going to need some form of extra water breathing, or like you're going to have to get yourself some air pockets as you go through this. But if you head through the cave, you're eventually going to end up in an abandoned mineshaft. That's right, by pure chance in a slightly different part of the world, well, 2 or of the fairly, structures that are less likely to combine, a ravine and an abandoned mineshaft, do in fact combine. And this one combines with an underwater ravine, which is even wackier. And yeah, funnily enough, one of the big selling points of the original seed was the melon seeds you could find in one of these minecart chests, because melon seeds at the time were very hard. I would say the closest equivalent, if you don't spawn anywhere near a village, is probably beetroot seeds. And what do you know? They're here inside a chest. It's kind of wonderful and cool in that way. But yeah, the fact that like this same thing is here after all these years is pretty cool. I wouldn't say it makes the most exceptional seed. Like, realistically speaking, you don't need abandoned mineshafts that much these days. Their use has been a little bit diminished. But if you want an abandoned mineshaft, if you want one that connects with a bunch of underwater caves, ravines, etc., and it's just a bit of a strange time to go through. Like, look at this. But if you want an abandoned mineshaft that's all of those things, then apparently this one's got you covered. By the way, yeah, we're literally 1 block below the surface in this abandoned mineshaft. So if you really wanted to, just to show you where this is roughly, you can dig down next to the ravine, and if you get lucky, you can just end up straight in the abandoned mineshaft with literally a block or 2 above you, which is kind of fascinating to me. So once we max out our render distance from the island, you can see how there actually is some other things around here. Although again, if you don't have max render distance, only 32 chunks on Java, you won't be able to see that there's like a weird beach covered in birch over there, or you won't be able to see the island in the distance, and you also won't be able to see this here ocean monument. It's really cool because it's not just an ocean monument, although ocean monuments by themselves should never have the just thing attached to them. It's an ocean monument with a treasure ship on the, one side of it, just out front. And then an almost equidistant amount on the other side, it's another treasure ship. Again, do you need 2 ships that close together? No. Is it good to have them that close together? No. Sometimes the maps will go to the same place. But yeah, the fact that you're not only coming here to get one of the rarest structures and the only source of access to sponge in legit Minecraft, that's really nice by itself. But then having access to these things, I think that makes it great too. I also think this would be a really great seed because of its like optics. If you want a big survival project to work on and you like having a weird island spawn, because then it kind of functions like Australia, right? You go live on the mainland all the way over here, hundreds of blocks away from spawn, and then when people join into your world and you don't necessarily trust them yet, they can be all the way out there living on Australia. And yeah, if you remove all the trees from that island, that could be a way to make it so that like, yeah, everyone spawns on an island and they can't get off until I give them permission, until I vet them or whatever. Also, if you like birch trees, this is a huge birch forest and it's pretty much the only contact point on land. So if you wanted to make a giant birch house, this seed would be great too. And yeah, this is a pretty good niche seed. Like, again, if you like the island thing, if you like swamps being your nearest biome, if you like the niche biomes, because this doesn't have plains or desert anywhere near spawn, but instead it has extreme hills, birch forest, ocean, and a few other things like that. Oh, actually, I was wrong about the plains biome thing. There's a plains biome here, it's just not very flat. So there's no useful part of plains biome, but if you prefer the other biomes anyway, if you like the niche biomes, like the extreme hills, the swamp, and the, that you like that survival island concept, then this place has clearly got you covered. Also, whenever rendering in like Minecraft Java tends to be tricky, which is why stuff like this happens, and probably why 32 chunks isn't recommended, and above that isn't possible in the game. But anyway, regardless of Java itself, this is a pretty decent version of the seed. It might be the best, but maybe Console Edition is better, because this started as a Console Edition seed. Maybe it's going to be way better even now as a Console Edition seed too. So I'd give the seed like a 6, maybe a 6.5 as kind of recommendable in Minecraft Java Edition, but here we are on the PlayStation 4 edition of the game. As you can see, menus are all different, seed option is all different, everything is very different here, because the console edition of Minecraft is something that used to be one of the bigger versions of the game. Now it's mostly been replaced by Bedrock, with the exception of the PlayStation 4. The PlayStation 4 for now is still holding out, that is subject to change, but it has something called the classic world size, where basically it fills the world, what would otherwise be a huge world, it kind of condenses it into a much shorter space. Structure generation goes hugely up. It's a very useful thing if you ever do play console. So we use this seed, the same one from that oldest Seed Sunday, with the classic world size, and we see how this one goes. So, same Seed Sunday thing, where we're going to make ourselves a nice little beacon, grab ourselves some seeds, which you'll notice how on other versions of Minecraft are just called the seeds, not the wheat seeds. But yeah, hello my BX Click welcome back to Seed Sunday, a weekly series where I show you seeds. Haha, hilarious, I know. But yeah, let's load up our map and let's see what this seed is actually starting to look like. By the way, on PlayStation 4, I have to be the Ocelot in a suit because there's no Ocelot skin. So yeah, I'm very happy to be here, as you can tell from my suit and my party hat kind of thing, the little alien wiggle things. I'm also interested by the fact that the seed is actually quite similar at spawn. Despite being a pretty different world generation, it's still an island-ish. It's a peninsula technically, but it's almost an island with a similar number of trees all around it. And you'll also notice how here there are some animals spawning, which leads me to believe it's not a, like an ocean biome that has some, islands on it, but is instead an actual forest biome because, again, that's how you get wolves and that's how you get chickens. Don't wolves go after chickens? I might be confusing it with cats and foxes, but still, you can see how, like, okay, we got ourselves a nice little spawn, especially if you like wolves. There's 5 already, instant, wolf pack achievement. But then heading in the other direction, you see how, like, oh yeah, there's also a birch forest here with a big beach next to it. I mean, it's the same stuff from that Java seed, but much better condensed together. So if you liked what you saw over there with, like, oh yeah, it's it's a giant, like, islandish thing with a birch forest with a swamp connected, you get the same thing over here, but you'll notice how it's better in every way. Why is it better in every way? One, it's closer together, so you can access it in survival much better. Even though I show off these seeds in creative for ease of access, they're best used in survival. Second of all, this swamp has a witch hut in it, a very rare structure on the Java edition, and otherwise, somewhat achievable here in Bedrock and PlayStation 4. And finally, we have a huge lava pit here. It's hidden underneath a tree, so I mean, this tree is going to catch on fire at some point into being on this seed, but you can see how, like, there's a huge lava thing here, which means you can go to the nether very easily, because if you can find a lava pit in Minecraft, that means easy nether access. If you don't know why, then you don't know how to make a nether portal using just water buckets and lava buckets, and that's kind of tragic by itself. But yeah, there's also this weird edge of the world border thing, which you might be able to take advantage of. Lots of lily pads here, lots of weird watercolor mixing that only really tends to happen on console. And yeah, just the first few things happen all closer together, but then because the seed is actually pretty close, rather than me saying it's over 1,000 blocks away, you probably don't care about it if it's going to make a decision between a seed. This is the sort of thing you actually can care about and actually might make a difference. Stuff like seeing a survival item, which is much better than normal because look, it has the one tree, the one kind of characteristic of survival island. It's right here. Do you want to start a civilization using just the one tree and apparently 2 turtles as well? That's a thing you can do using this world seed, and all you have to do is travel that far from spawn, not too far in the grand scheme of things. Oh wow, that literally just appeared in front of me. This is an incredibly rare, in fact, not just incredibly rare, this is a thing that shouldn't happen, but yet here it is on the IBX 2cat seed. It's a savanna biome everywhere around here. There's no part of this that isn't savanna biome, but in this savanna biome, there's a desert temple. How did this load in? Is this meant to be here? I don't imagine so. This is the desert. Usually when this happens, one block of the desert temple is in there, but here you can see the entire thing is in either the savanna biome or the river biome nearby. What is this biome between the two of this weird color? But you can see definitely not a desert biome, but yet in spite of that fact, here is the desert temple. So this is of course an astounding piece of luck by itself. What I think is kind of interesting is right next by this thing, which again, already kind of great by itself. But yeah, this is an astounding piece of luck that's 4 chests worth of goodness. And honestly, I would say the rarer thing, because even though it's cool that this place exists, it's cool that you get 4 free sets of randomized loot and also the TNT. You might get saddles, you might get golden apples, you might get gold, and you might get diamonds or just another golden apple. There's lots of different possibilities as to things you might get over here, but then get this, as well as this being kind of great, by the way, these coordinates on Bedrock and on console, you can see it on the left-hand side of the screen. But yeah, you can see how heading to the south of here some more, we get a single lone pumpkin in a desert, which has to be noted as kind of strange. We get another birch forest because birch is just all over the seed, and then we get a second desert temple not too far from the first one. In fact, if we stand between them, you can see them both on screen at the same time. So yeah, have you ever wanted 2 desert temples this close together? Neither of which really make that much sense, because this is a desert biome at least, but it's like right on the edge, going into the ocean and, causing a lot of sandstone to go down to the ground. But yeah, this is a thing that exists that you can take full advantage of on this seed if you so choose. So just for what it's worth, this seed, despite being on PlayStation 4, where these seeds are usually much better balanced, mostly consists of the ocean biome again. So you need to like the ocean biome to, kind of warrant this worth your while. Obviously, once you expand it, it's not all going to be ocean there too. If you don't know, PlayStation 4 starts with a world this size, but you can expand it if you like to. You can also start with the expanded world by default, but it's usually worse. But here's the thing that makes it worthwhile in my opinion, because you know how this ocean monument is a super rare thing on Java, and it's a pretty rare thing on Bedrock. Like finding one is a big deal. still, it's one of the few, it's the only access to sponges you can reasonably get in regular Minecraft. Well, here is a ocean monument with a little thing in front of it. Kind of nice, kind of like the Java seed, right? But what if I said within this same 800 by 800 area, which is pretty small in the grand scheme of things, that's something like, you know, that's only like 50 chunks, you know, in each direction, or 25 from the spot, from the center. So it's not actually that far in every direction. But what if I said that in this corner of the world, we're going to find ourselves a second ocean monument? That's crazy. That's bonkers. That's bananas, right? Well, what if I said that, like, okay, finding a second one, that's really great. What if I said that literally a tiny bit to the south, there was a third one as well? 3 ocean monuments really kind of close together. This is one of the cooler things about PlayStation 4, is that when you get oceans, the incidence of these guys is much, much bigger. So yeah, if you had plans for some giant draining project, whether it's the ocean monument itself, or whether it's some part of this huge ocean, which we have limitless amounts of, then yeah, you better believe you've got the sponges if you can kill the Elder Guardians, which I like as a little bit of a challenge. We also have super close to spawn the stronghold, as in this is the spawn, and then literally 7 blocks or 10 blocks to the left, you know, countless number of blocks, that's how far you have to go to dig down only 20 blocks to find your stronghold. This is definitely one of the world's most convenient seats. Obviously, PlayStation 4 Bedrock seats are always quite convenient, but literally right here, you can get to the Nether by just, you know, once you get 3 bits of iron, which you can find in a surface cave, head over there, you're in the Nether already. Head back over here, you found your stronghold. The fact that all of that is so conveniently placed makes this a good seed as kind of a mixture of like a islandy seed that also has easy access to the Nether in the end. Who is that for? I'm going to be honest, it's not for everyone. The reason this seed doesn't get a 10, a 9, or even an 8 is because it's a really great seed with some rare stuff like that desert temple, and indeed like the 3 ocean monuments, which are all found in the ocean just above spawn, and indeed the fact that you have a stronghold 10 blocks away. But I think this isn't anyone's perfect seed. No one was going out their way to look for this in the first place. It's convenient if you want to start a new world, and this does all appeal to you, but I don't think that is most people, which is why I'm going to give the seed a 7.5 out of 10. Rare and great in so many ways, but not all the ways that make it a perfect seed, or really close by most people's estimation. You have to really love specific things, whether it's the witches' huts, which by the way, there's multiple ones of those, whether it's the desert temples, the ocean monuments. Finding huge quantities of these things has to be special to you, and on PlayStation 4, those things aren't hugely special, which is why we get just the 7.5, but is Bedrock here to save the day? The last platform, is it going to be the best or the worst? Or maybe just perfectly mediocre like these 2 seeds? Let's find out. So Bedrock is going to be perhaps the most interesting of the 3 platforms. I think it's going to have the biggest variance. This is either going to be a good or a bad seed, I reckon. By the way, because even most people who play Minecraft Bedrock don't necessarily call it Bedrock all the time, the Bedrock version of Minecraft is the one where it just says Minecraft at the top of the screen. So now you know we're playing Bedrock, the most popular version of Minecraft, with more players than consoles and Java Edition put together by a huge amount. There's over 100 million people playing Minecraft, mostly on phones and tablets, but still, it is this version of the game, and it's a super interesting version, and it's also super interesting that we spawn in the same seed as Java. It's very rare this happens, because although Java and Bedrock use roughly the same world generation, you almost never get the same seed. This is a thing that's just happened right now, though. So, hello my BX Toy Cat, welcome back to Seed Sunday, weekly series where I show you seeds, mostly for the Bedrock edition of Minecraft, actually, and yeah, this particular seed is fascinating to look at after having just, you know, seen the Java seed, because interestingly enough, looking around it, it looks suspiciously the same, doesn't it? Which I think does a great job to highlight the differences between Java seeds and Bedrock seeds, because you'll notice how even though it's the same rough world gen, which is only true for seeds which are shorter than the 4.3, basically there are some seeds that won't be the same because Java has more seeds than Bedrock, but for most seeds that you type in, if it's a short series of characters or letters or digits or whatever, if you do type it in, you're gonna get the same rough world gen, but stuff like the ocean monuments are going to be different. The way we can tell this, besides just like, well, it's in a different place coordinately speaking, but in case to you this looks like it's the same place as before, notice how on the left and the right there isn't a treasure ship, because the ships generate in different places. Here's a ship over here, here's a ship over there. The stuff like that, you know, like underwater ruins, etc., they generate in different places, even when the biomes are exactly the same. Obviously, there are huge game mechanic differences as well, and you can even see one right now, which is how render distance works. On both console and indeed on Java, the way render distance works is it tries to make a square around you that you can see, that's, you know, 32 chunks, whatever. On Bedrock, you can see how it's very distinctly a circle that it makes, which is arguably more natural, but most importantly, it saves a little bit of processing power while making what is, to some people's opinion, a better effect. What I also think is interesting is that despite being what is meant to be, the same, there are some minor differences that aren't noticeable in terms of the broad strokes, such as the fact that the birch forest from previously is just a regular forest over here, such as the fact that the plains biome takes up much more of the area, and yeah, even though all of the greenery biomes take up roughly the same space, it's not this huge birch forest on a beach that it was before. It's a pretty natural, normal space, and again, if you like plains biomes, this one's not perfect, but it's better than the other one was. But yeah, and also, here's another interesting thing. Before we hit the extreme hills from before, which did still exist, there is a village found just over here. A pretty good village too, if you do ask me myself. I really like the way this one's laid out. It looks like a proper port town, and then it also has a blacksmith. A blacksmith with 8 bits of obsidian, so kind of like the PlayStation 4 seed. You've basically got easy access to a nether portal because 2 bits of lava turn those into obsidian real fast. Use that of rate obsidian. You can be going to the nether really, really fast on this, so that's actually a big improvement in that way. Otherwise, I think it comes down to personal preference as to which way you preferred this biome, because did you like the birch forest into a swamp into an extreme hills, or do you prefer what we've got kind of here, where it's no swamp, it's a plains biomes instead, with a giant lava pit, which is nice, with a, like a forest of regular proportions to the south, which has some birch trees in it, but because it's a regular forest, it's more oak than birch, and then also has some big plains biomes with the village access. I think that is personal preference. I would argue that this is the better way, but you might disagree with that. Regardless of that though, it's the closest thing to spawn, and it's still a pretty decent distance away. It's still going to be a, medium-sized boat journey, and that's true for anywhere you want to go on this. You're going to be going in a little bit of a, journey in every direction if you want to find anything. It is worth mentioning you can find some desert if you go far enough south, which might be your thing instead. Like, rather than going north, who likes north when you can go south? Where you'll notably not only find a desert, but given the scale of this thing, you'll find a pretty huge desert, which jarringly cuts into a plains in one of the weirder ways I've ever seen. Like, it's a mountain range of desert surrounding a plains. I really like this. I think this is potential for something, but most people might say, what even is that? And then also, because, again, village generation, super high here, you're going to notice how there's a village just to the south of that as well. So that's pretty solid. Not only a village, which is, great by itself, access to all the villager things. It's a village with one of these desert wells next to it. Oh, I love desert wells. They're so useful all the time, right? When you want to go for a swim in the desert, or when you need water and you just realize there's no water anywhere in the desert. I don't see water anywhere else around here, which is why it's good to have a desert well. But yeah, I think villages are objectively good things. There's so many reasons to use them, including going to sleep for the night when things get dark. But yeah, what I think this seed does a really good job at showing is not necessarily like, oh yeah, is this the best seed? Probably not. It does show you how Minecraft Bedrock and Minecraft Java, they have similar but very different world generations. World generations which I would say makes Bedrock, better to some extent because it's quirkier, meaning every seed is going to be slightly more different, less of the same, less of, repetition going on right there. However, is this seed a great example? Is this like the seed you need to run out and start using today? I would say not. Even though this is better than the Java seed overall, I would say compared to the field of Bedrock seeds out there, this isn't especially notable, unless you like this area, or the village in particular from before, which again I think was a great port village, unless there's something very particular like here, which you can find on any seed if you're going to find it here. This is just a seed which gives you one ability and one ability only, and that's to strand people on an island very far away from spawn. Minecraft Bedrock tends not to give island spawns because it tries to balance out whatever's going on there, so it's very rare that you get a Java seed and a Bedrock seed which have the exact same spawn area. This is one of those seeds, so you can take advantage of that in some way. You can take advantage of sending, having your prisoners spawn in on Australia rather than having to send them there. Maybe that's your, use case for this seed, but overall I would say as a Bedrock seed, 5 out of 10. I would say as a Java seed, yeah, you might really want that. It's something that's really great for you. As a PS4 seed, it's got some unique rare things that might be astounding for you personally, but as a Bedrock seed, I think already in Seed Sunday, we've covered so many better alternatives to this, unless you need people to spawn near an ocean monument, or maybe you even want to move the ocean monument on them. I don't know what you'd want from this seed, but I don't think it's providing, all the cool things that made it rare and unique and like a reference back to the old one aren't here on Bedrock, and that's kind of sad. And although the world generation can get really good if you're willing to go thousands of blocks out, here we are at 1,000 blocks, here we are at 2,000 blocks, And here we are 4,000 blocks away from spawn. They're pretty great things, but when you have to travel this far for something on a seed, it's worth looking for a better seed instead, unless that spawn area for new players, which is unalterable and has to stay the same, unless that is a crucial sticking point for you, and unless you love the idea of like an ocean seafaring map to find all this stuff, unless those are crucial things, this isn't a seed I recommend for Bedrock, which is why I'm going to give this either a 4.5 or a 5 out of 5, and yeah, overall, that gives us a suite of actually pretty interesting seeds. Unlike, the previous time we went through Nostalgia and they were all just okay, these are all seeds that I would definitely recommend under some circumstances, but just not as a recommendation to everyone. I wouldn't make these into Seed Sunday videos for the most part, standalone seeds, unless, except for people who are looking for something super niche, which is maybe something that's important for Seed Sunday overall. Let me know what you think about that in the comments down below, because in general, I'm trying to find seeds that are good for a decent number of people, that contain something rare that everyone can appreciate, or that have something that's super, super niche and rare, rather than just a little bit. But let me know if you just kind of like, oh yeah, I want something that inspires me to start a new survival world. I like when you give a little bit of a build idea. Also, look at this. This is the mushroom biome. It's kind of next to a little mini mesa, next to the iceberg biome. Why is this all so close together? Isn't that crazy? If you want to destroy an entire iceberg biome, by the way, you're inspired by my videos, but you think it's too much work, here's an iceberg biome for you to destroy, and, smaller scale. Start small, think big. That sounds like a good phrase, actually. But yeah, this was fascinating to go through. I hope you all enjoyed this dive back into my first ever seed from Seed Sunday. It's only pretty good in 2019, and that's probably a good sign because it shows that the Seed Sunday standard, our quality bar has gone up over the years. I'm really excited for maybe even more years of showing you through some great seeds, finding the most interesting, the weirdest stuff, and encouraging you to start new Minecraft worlds if you want to. Because although I play Minecraft in a 7-year-old survival world, that's kind of my big thing, right? A lot of people aren't the same way. A lot of people prefer switching it up every now and then, or maybe you want to start a new long-term world, from scratch, so that way it's a good one, but you need a good seed to do that. That's something I always want to cover on Seed Sunday to help people out. Also, this is something, okay, same seed, right? This is just always a beauty to do. Punch one block and then this happens. Oh, isn't that beautiful? That definitely is beautiful. Anyway, it keeps on going. Oh man. Oh yeah. Okay, this seed goes up from a 5 right to a 10 just for that, right? Oh yeah, that was beautiful. But anyway, speaking of beautiful things, make sure you hit subscribe with notifications turned on if you're beautiful on the inside, because it's the only way that I can know that you're a wonderful person who wants to see more Toy Cat videos. And otherwise, thank you very much for watching, because I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye.